I'm Jessica, and this is ATC Presents Daebak K-Rambles, where a couple of friends review Korean dramas. And welcome back to another episode of Daebak K-Rambles, and unfortunately, the last episode of Season 3 for Daebak K-Rambles. And I'm really excited to wrap up this season with kind of a big show, a really huge show for 2022. And we're also crossing the podcast streams also on this episode, because I have with me two repeat guests with me from two different podcasts. I have Kathy from the MIA2K Podcast and Mina from the Kpop Bookshelf Podcast. Hey ladies, what's up?
Hey.
Hi. Hey girl. Hey. Happy to be back here.
I am so glad you guys are here, and you guys were very gracious in wanting to cover the show and rewatch the show, share your thoughts on it, and be available to do this episode, which again, each episode, it takes a lot to watch an entire show and come to this kind of show where we discuss the entire thing all at once. Kathy and Mina, how have you guys been? What have you guys been up to real fast before we get started?
I'll start. This is Kathy here. I sound completely different today than last time because last episode I was kind of dying with bronchitis and 3 other itises. So I'm happy to bring you guys my regular voice. So thanks for having me back just for that. Everything's been great. Just, BTS, K-pop land in general, being a multi-stan is a full-time job. Don't tell my boss. It's been great.
Yeah, talking of BTS, Jin just released The Astronaut, his debut single.
Yeah, and we were talking about it at like 2 a.m. last night. So thank you for being my sleep paralysis demon and telling me all the things that I wasn't noticing at the time from being so delusional and tired. Thank you.
Well, my favorite thing is that you interpreted the video as being directly, like, he wasn't talking about other things. He was definitely talking about ARMY and his relationship to the fans and stuff. And I was like, yeah, that could be the interpretation. It's always funny to me when they're like, this is a reference to the fans, other than like a couple of obvious ones like ARMY in the crossword or whatever. It's kind of funny to me that like most music videos are like, oh, this is a reference to us.
Well, the girl's bike was purple and her helmet was purple too, so we're just claiming ownership of it all.
I get it. It does entertain me though. It does.
Listen, our main job description is being delusional. I'm just falling in line. That's all.
Oh, Mina, what is up? Like, what have you been up to?
Well, watching dramas at your behest, Jess, and also my podcast is on a bit of a hiatus at the moment since I have to take time to actually read more and more books, and that takes some time. But in the meantime, I started Idol Book Club, which is like a spinoff of my podcast that you're going to be my first guest on, where I will be reading a book recommended by, actually in this case for the first episode, BTS, called Almond. And the premise of Idol Book Club is that it's like if you were to join a book club with your idols, like what books do they recommend and what do they read, and then we read and talk about it.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been up to.
Yeah, that was so much fun to guest on your pod and talk about Almond and read a book. Like, I haven't read a book in so long, and I used to be in publishing, so I feel like terrible in saying that, but I highly recommend you guys to follow each of these ladies and to like subscribe to their podcast and listen to them because they're both amazing. Of course, Kathy, this is one half of MIA2K Podcast because Laura's not here. We'll talk about that.
I'll go a little bit into that later. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, sure.
Cool.
Don't worry.
Cool.
Set it up, Jess.
I got
the foreshadowing. You're the foreshadowing queen in the K-drama world. I see you.
You see me like setting it up for you later.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yep. Thank you.
Awesome.
I appreciate that.
All right. I got a bit of housekeeping. So if this is your first time listening, thank you so much for pressing play on this episode. Please go ahead and subscribe on your favorite podcast app. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and many more. And if you like us, please give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And lastly, come check us out on social media to stay up to date on our latest episodes and reviews. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at ATC Daebak Pod. And lastly, if you're a fan, please consider becoming a patron. It is such a great way for you to get involved and show your support. You can check out the page on patreon.com/alwayscriticpod. And I do want to shout out to our patrons, Janet, Curtis, Robin, Bale, Cindy, and CD. Thank you guys so much for being patrons, and hopefully you'll get some more friends and more community in the Daebak patron app community segment. All right. I think we're going to get started. We're going to get started talking about Extraordinary Attorney Woo. So I'll read the Asian wiki synopsis, which is blessedly not very long. Woo Young-woo is extremely smart, and she also has autism spectrum disorder. She never forgets what she sees, but she lacks in social skills and empathy. Woo Young-woo begins to work as a trainee lawyer at a large law firm. While working there, she faces prejudice and irrationality against her, but she solves cases with her own unique perspective and grows as a lawyer. This originally aired earlier this year, from June to August 2022. It is, I believe, a Netflix original. It is 16 episodes long. It's directed by Myung-seok, and he's also directed things like Dr. Romantic 1, 2, and 3, and Vagabond from 2019. It is written by Moon Ji-won, and this is his first TV drama writing credit ever. This is the first thing he's ever written for TV. And the only other thing that he's done is written a movie called Innocent Witness, which happens to also feature a character with autism. If you can't already guess by Innocent Witness, the only witness to a murder case has autism. Very interesting. That came out in 2019. Attorney Woo Young-woo herself is played by Park Eun-bin. She has about 31 TV credits to her name. She's actually a child actress, if you didn't know. And she's been in things like Operation Proposal from 2012, Hello My 20s, season 1 and 2, which I highly recommend. Hello My 20s. That's actually a really nice slice of life show. The Ghost Detective, Hot Stove League, which I hear is really good. Do You Like Brahms, which I really want to see at some point. The King's Affection, which I dropped, but she got a lot of acclaim for The King's Affection, which came out in 2021. Have either of you seen some Park Eun-bin stuff?
No, ma'am.
I have not.
Okay, no problem. No problem. I don't think you need to get through Extraordinary Attorney Woo. And the only other person I'll say from the cast is Kang Tae-oh, who plays Lee Jun-ho. And he's been in Doom at Your Service, Run On, The Tale of Nokdu, and My First Love, seasons 1 and 2, which is a Netflix original as well. I quite liked My First Love, which is the first season's like 8 episodes, the second season's 8 episodes. So if you watched it all together, it seems like a cohesive 16 episode show. Highly recommend that one. It's really cute. Yeah, I think that's it. All right, we're on the other side.
Good.
Tell me, Mina and Kathy, whoever wants to go first, what were your general thoughts on Extraordinary Attorney Woo?
Mina, do you want to go first? Me? Okay. Okay, so just to give a little bit of background, I don't have a lot of K-drama experience under my belt. I stay away from K-dramas because I have a very addictive personality and K-pop already takes up all of my time. So if I start watching K-dramas for real, I will not have a job. But I decided to watch Attorney Woo because their TikTok, the Netflix Korea TikTok came from me and really targeted me hard with all their videos. And I obviously everybody was talking about it for all of our summer.
Yeah.
So I decided to download it for some long flights from Florida to California. So I downloaded the 10 episodes. I watched them on each leg, and then I watched the rest when I got home. And I have to say, I don't really usually cry with movies or with TV shows.
Interesting.
But this show got me.
Okay.
There were a good 3 episodes that made me cry during the first flight. I don't know if I was going through something that day or something, but yeah, I actually I mean, honestly, it's Park Eun-bin's acting. She's just incredible. I really cannot speak highly enough of her acting in this show. So I really think that all the acting in general, all the actors, all of the scenes, or the way that everything was set up really got me. And just to really quickly bring something up, because I found it in my research, some people actually get offended when they hear it being called a Netflix original because Netflix did not contribute monetarily to the production of the show. It's just on Netflix. So before anybody comes for anybody here on the show, please don't. We are just, it's on Netflix. You can watch it there.
Yep, I totally get that. And I see why people get upset, but also relax.
I mean, if you get upset, that just means that you really don't have that much going on in your life.
Oh, okay, Kathy, all right.
Sorry, my bad.
I said relax, and then you took it a bit further. Yeah, you can see it on Netflix.
There you
period. Go. All right, so you were very emotional while watching this show.
Yes.
Okay. And you don't usually get emotional.
I don't.
And just for context, your co-host Laura did not.
So this is the moment.
Yeah.
This is the moment where I'm going to drag Laura. So Laura, on the other hand, opposite for me, actually does watch a lot of K-dramas. She likes to watch other types of K-dramas. She could not get through the first episode of Extraordinary Attorney Woo. So if that tells you anything, which it shouldn't, because Laura just has very specific taste. And the fact that she couldn't really finish the episode, even though I was begging her to just give it a chance and just get through the 1 hour. But she literally dropped it and went to watch the one that Tae-oh's starring in right now, I think.
Another
So,
law.
you know,
He's a prosecutor in now.
Something prosecutor.
Yeah. I guess. I mean, I don't have a reason to excuse Laura. She's a monster, and that's that. So it's fine.
Okay.
No, just kidding. If anybody just didn't like it, you know, you can go to Laura or resonate with her and talk about it or on the DMs, because she will understand why you couldn't get through it. But
fair enough.
I don't agree. I don't agree with that.
All right. So it hit you right in the feels, Kathy. Mina, what did you think of Extraordinary Attorney Woo?
Well, I think my K-drama watching experience is somewhere between you and Kathy, and that I don't watch as many as you as much as I would like to. But I watch seemingly more than Kathy. So I was a little bit on the fence of the first episode, where I was like, I don't know, especially because it was super hyped, because I watched it like now after it already like aired, and there was so much content, everyone doing the ooh to the wong to the you, whatever,
yeah,
you know, like, and all that to the young to the and I didn't know what to expect. And I was sort of like, by the end of the whole thing, I was like, why was it this like evocative for people? Because, you know, the city of Seoul did like fireworks of whales in like, you know, and like over the Han River. And it was like a very big cultural touch point, it seemed like, from at least far away. And I don't know if I really got that, but I do agree that I thought it was worth like sticking through past the first episode if you could stomach it. Yeah. And yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, I'm somewhere in between you, Mina, and Kathy, because I watched it again after having gone through the summer of Attorney Woo Young Woo, go to the young, ooh to the young to woo, go to the young to Rami. Like, I friggin' like was sick of it. It was all over TikTok. It was blown way out of proportion, and now finally sitting down to watch it, I kind of feel like the way that the K-drama editors and the people who were really advocating for Attorney Woo Young Woo kind of missed the point, because all of the content that they were putting out there was solely Kang Tae-oh and the romance. And I was like, I feel like we need to have like a small discussion here at this point, because it's getting ridiculous when these dramas, which are not romance dramas. I don't consider Extraordinary Attorney Woo a romance drama.
Agreed.
People watch these shows that are more slice of life, more character studies, more whatever, and they are like sucking out like tiny bits of romance and blowing it way out of proportion, and just,
I guess, for marketing.
I don't know if it's for marketing or what, but it felt disingenuous to the show to just focus on the romance, even though it is quite extraordinary, and we're going to talk about it for sure. But ultimately, that was not the point of the drama. Like, in no way, shape, or form was that the point of the drama to me.
At all.
So,
to their point, though, they got me from all those clips.
Yeah.
So, you know, it worked. The marketing worked. And I agree that I would not consider it a romance drama at all. But that's what intrigued me, just because I knew, again, the conversation was happening about the autism spectrum disorder, all those things. And I was like, okay, I want to see like how this really, really hot, beautiful man ends up like pursuing her, because he was in the pursuit. It wasn't just like a story where two people fall in love. Like, he was very actively pursuing her, and she was very much not sure what to do with him. So I was intrigued by that, and I was like, let me go watch. So it worked.
Yeah, it's a story about first love. It's a story about birth secrets. It's a story about like autism and prejudice and discrimination in all shapes and forms within her life. And it's really daunting to see how much ground the show covered, because each episode covered a new kind of facet of just negativity from people, whether it be lying, whether it be the ethics of law, of defending people, what have you. It just seemed very complex, and I feel like ultimately it was a positive experience, but one that I don't need to have again. I don't feel like I need to return to Extraordinary Attorney Woo and this story, and the fact that it's kind of guaranteed, I think, at this point, that they're going to do a season 2 once Kang Tae-oh gets out of his military service, and I don't see why. Like, truly,
Yeah.
I
don't get it.
I don't know why.
People wanted closure. People wanted more from the relationship, and I'm like, what more did you want? Like, it was...
What more is
yeah,
there?
what more is there? So, okay, me and Mina are on the same page about that for sure.
Same. I'm on the same.
Yeah.
Even though like I enjoyed it and I had my crying sessions, I thought it was enough. I don't need a season 2, especially not in 2024.
No. You're going to tell me you're going to come back in 2024 Extraordinary Attorney Woo season 2? Get out.
I mean, I might for Kang Tae-oh. I'm saying I don't need
But the
to,
thing is,
but I
Kang
could.
Tae-oh is on the up and up.
I know.
And he deserves to have other projects and do different things and show different range. Maybe he wants to, I don't know, play a dark character instead of a good character. Like, who knows, like, what he has plans to do for his career, and now he's like shoehorned into doing an Attorney Woo season 2 once he gets out of the military.
I feel like though this character was so similar to his character in Run On. At least I didn't watch all of Run On, but I was like, is he always like this? Because that's the only other thing I've seen him in. Like, always just this puppy dog.
Yeah. Well, he was like that too in My First Love. That was like his character.
I hope maybe they can do it without him somehow, but like,
yeah,
maybe, I don't know.
I kind of just feel like leave them alone at this point. Like, they can move on and do other projects, and you can see these people again. We don't need to return. Because it seems like people literally just want a season 2 just to get more romance.
It might be that thing.
But then isn't their boss going to die?
Oh, the boss.
No, he's going to survive.
All right. Well, we can talk about that later. That's yeah. So I think we all, well, at least me, I was very, very hesitant to watch the show, and I was very, very hesitant to comment on it and talk about it on the podcast, truly, because I feel like I'm woefully unprepared, ill-equipped to talk about a very layered and underrepresented kind of character with the autism coming from Attorney Woo. Having this autistic character seemed to have put everyone in a tizzy. They were like, oh my God, we've never seen this kind of character. This is great representation. And I feel like K-dramas are turning to different mental illnesses, whether it's like disorders like antisocial personality disorder, which is very popular in K-dramas, or they're turning to variously autistic characters, because of course it is a spectrum. And you have characters like the older brother in It's Okay to Not Be Okay, who's got a very severe form of autism and is kind of almost non-functioning. Almost, I say, because of course he is very functioning. And you have characters like the main kid from Move to Heaven, who is also autistic. And these are relatively recent shows. And I'm kind of like wondering why Attorney Woo was the one that like made waves, you know? Why didn't these other ones?
I wonder that too.
Kind of bridge the gap and not bridge the gap, break the glass ceiling for K-dramas. So do you guys have any thoughts about that?
I mean, I think It's Okay to Not Be Okay that the actor who played the older brother with autism with ASD did get so many accolades and acclaim, and everyone thought that was like a really big deal, which was good, because his acting also was so good, and that whole show had like a lot of strong acting. Yeah. But I don't know why either this show is suddenly like, I don't know, turning on, it seems like some kind of awareness more than even that show did. I really don't know.
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts, Kathy? I'm going to take it a step further in a second.
Sure. I haven't watched a lot of shows, so I can't tell you why this one worked over others. All I can say is this show specifically had a quite small range of ASD showcased with the characters that they showcased. Like there was one that just was said to have an intellectual disability, not necessarily autism. And then there was that other character who had a very high level of autism spectrum disorder, where he was an adult, but his brain was developed to the point of a 6-year-old, I believe was that episode.
Right.
Ish, or he was, you know, he had those developmental issues. So even though it had a very small range, I think the fact that Woo Young-woo's character had pretty advanced ASD, it showed a lot of just vulnerability issues and things that I think people found relatable. And I don't know, it's really the thing that touched me, and the reasons why I cried every time that I cried watching the episode was because I could empathize with her struggle. Like she always felt like an outsider. She felt othered. She was struggling to understand and to attach herself to things, and she wanted to. She just genuinely couldn't. And I genuinely felt for that struggle, and it was something that was very relatable. We have all kind of been outsiders for whatever reason in our lives. So maybe even though obviously it's a very specific disorder and there's, you know, the spectrum, there's all kinds of people in it. They've always talked about that you cannot say, if you know one person with autism,
right,
you know one person with autism. You don't know the whole, like, you can't say that two people with autism have the same circumstances. So I don't know. I just think it was really, really relatable and really well acted is what I can say for myself.
I think I'm going to agree with you, but I'm also going to take it a step further because I saw, and I can't remember the name of this creator, but this was in the summer. So good luck to me trying to find these series of videos again. But yeah, this creator who I believe either himself was a autistic, but I don't know if he was ASD. But anyway, he was talking about the good things and the bad things about Attorney Woo and the popularity that it's getting, and how essentially the bad of Extraordinary Attorney Woo was how it's perpetuating stereotypes about people with ASD. Yeah. And I completely 100% agree with that. And I was afraid of watching the show and feeling a negative way towards this portrayal because it really is kind of just perpetuating the same things over and over that people believe about ASD. And, you know, she was, you know, echolalia, like a repetition of others, disliked tags on clothes, was very neat and orderly, had OCD level of being neat, obsession with whales, like just an obsession with like a single thing, couldn't keep eye contact, had a photographic memory. All these things are stereotypes, like because you can have a person with ASD that is a mess, doesn't like to clean, doesn't like being neat and orderly, has no OCD. And things like that really bother me, especially now in 2022, maybe not in 1999 when I was watching things like Rain Man or Forrest Gump, like things like that, movies like that, which have gone out of fashion here in the States for a multitude of reasons. But over here, I think we are more aware of representation and having people and actors given the opportunity to portray these things because they come from that community, whether it's LGBTQ, whether it's, you know, obese characters. Like, why are we having actors in fat suits when you can hire an actual person who is trying to, you know, be in this industry, and they can fit the character. They are from that community, what have you. And to have Park Eun-bin play a character with ASD and do it really well is great. I'm not knocking her performance. I think it's a great thing. But what does that say about Korea, which 2022, they're just getting going on some of these portrayals of people from from different communities, from the mental side. People in Korea have a real problem, or there's a stigma around getting mental health help alone, let alone people that have actual like ASD, like that's a neurological condition. So like to me, it's like a step in the right direction, but like 3 steps back.
I get how you feel. I've always felt, not always, but in context of K-dramas and things that I've seen, I feel like South Korea tends to be around 20 to 30 years behind on the woke culture and things that are, like you said, you've already gone through this with Forrest Gump, with Rayman. The one that I thought about was I Am Sam. I felt like that movie.
Yes.
That movie was huge. Like I remember watching it. I still lived in Venezuela, and it was such a moment to advocate for people with disabilities and for people that have any sort of intellectual challenges. So I agree with you in the fact that it feels dated. It doesn't really feel something that we should be talking about in such a elementary way today. But for South Korea, these are their baby steps. They're going through what we went 20 to 30 years ago. And, at some point, hopefully they'll catch up quickly to where we are now. And I think that same creator had a positive video. He talked later, I think he did a comment thing. Like I saw the positive one and he said, now that I shared the negative, I do have some positives to talk about. And he had some good things to say about what the show did as a whole.
Exactly.
So of course there's going to be negative and positive 100%. And do I think this show did it right? I don't know. I can tell you that I enjoyed watching the show. I don't know how people with ASD might feel in terms of representation, like you said, not having an actual person with ASD acting. I don't know if they feel like mocked or if they felt like seen. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I understand why you hesitated to even talk about this. Yes. It's very sensitive. Yeah.
Yeah. Mina?
Okay, well, I did research.
Mina, come through.
That's all. Yeah, so I did do some research. So a couple of things about, first of all, autism spectrum disorder in Korea. It's sort of a newer field of research for them. I think, like you were saying, Jess, mental illness generally in Korea is something that is highly stigmatized and people don't really want to talk about it. I think those of us who follow K-pop community very closely know that it's become in recent years more of a discussion, more of an issue that's been people are more open about. For autism spectrum disorder, it's relatively new, like I said, and in terms of research, they really only started getting into researching it in Korea in 2004, and which is very recent, as you can imagine. Some of the things that I saw surrounding journalism about Attorney Woo that's written in English has to do with a New York Times article where they did interview someone who himself has ASD and actually I might be misgendering, but no, it's a he. So he is himself ASD and is a professor at Inha University in South Korea. And he was saying like kind of similar mixed feelings as a person with ASD who's thinking, this could have a negative impact where everyone in Korea might now just think we all eat gimbap like that, like all excessively, and like Woo-young-yu. But he also was appreciative of the fact that now there's even a discussion about it because autism and disability in general is seen as something to be highly stigmatized. The reasons surrounding that have all kinds of things to do with, like something I read talked about the homogeneity that is sort of preferred in Korean society, where like everyone has to do the same things, and the high success culture of like you have to go to good school, you have to like get in a good university and get a good job. So sometimes parents won't even take their kids to get tested or want to admit that there's something wrong. People who are high functioning, they think like really bypassed the whole system. In 2011, there was all these reports that Korea has like twice as much autism or ASD as other parts of the world. And by that, I mean like 1% of United States individuals, for example, they think are ASD, whereas in Korea it was like something like 2% that they were estimating in 2011. And then subsequently they thought, actually, we have these newer metrics of how we're measuring, we're assessing more people, we're kind of delving into this more. And regardless, they thought it was underdiagnosed in Korea. But the fact that people try to hide it, those who are both people who are high functioning, like Attorney Woo type of person might be, and the people who, you hear about in other cultures, other countries, I'm not sure if in Korea as much, but I could see it being a thing, so don't quote me on this, but like the individual who was obsessed with Pengsoo, for example, who had like more of a 6-year-old child mentality, those types of people are kind of like tucked away somewhere away from like general society because people don't want to talk about it because there's associated shame. And some of that shame has to do with the Confucianism and Buddhism, because I read in this one of my things, and I'll send you all the articles of what I read, that in Buddhism there's a belief in some aspects of Buddhism that what you are like in this life is like your you're making up your sins or you're being punished for something in your last life. So some people have this like belief of, okay, well, I did something wrong, or I'm inadequate as a person, or something is wrong because my child is ASD, or I am that way because I have ASD. So I think for something like this, and why Korea is so behind, it has also to do with the fact that a lot of people in Korea don't have something like people with ASD on the forefront of their mind. They don't maybe see it. They really just see what's on dramas. And in K-drama, we talked about It's Okay to Not Be Okay as one example. And there was also even Good Doctor, which they made an American show, Good Doctor, and it was also a Korean show. And so you really see a lot in Korean dramas, according to what I read, this dichotomy of like either you're this savant, like Attorney Woo, you're a genius, or you're like basically like the person who is a little more like super dependent on his mom, obsessed with Pengsoo, cartoon type thing. And so they don't have an idea. And maybe what Attorney Woo did for people was see someone, because even in It's Okay to Not Be Okay, he was so dependent on his brother and his family, and he was a bit helpless. And she had a lot of autonomy and agency, and maybe that's why it like awakened people to something.
Right. I'm so glad you did all that research, Mina. It is so helpful to know where the Korean Peninsula is in terms of the research, especially behind ASD, and that because, we don't have a frame of reference for what the populace is comfortable with and how they perceive people with ASD. And you're totally right. That they kind of just get it through osmosis through the K-dramas. And I love how you brought up the topic of agency for Attorney Woo, because that was something that really struck me as a positive thing about this portrayal and this character, was that she had so much agency, and she was grappling with a lot of kind of choices that other people with ASD didn't necessarily have to make if they were in her shoes. And I especially loved how she kind of dealt with the emotional and the emotional romantic relationships, I should say, in her life. And just her relationship with Kang Tae-oh's character, Jun-ho, was quite unique, because I don't think you find a lot of portrayals in K-drama or just in general, even in Western media, of people with ASD having a thriving romance life and having romantic partners that are so respectful and understanding of their condition, and who really try to complement them in their daily lives. And so I think that's not only is Kang Tae-oh's character such a green flag, but he is unique because he grapples with very real things when he is with Attorney Woo. And Attorney Woo is also trying to navigate this new thing. Like, how can she satisfy, Jun-ho in the relationship, and how can she be there for him in ways that he is there for her? I think the topic that I'm trying to get at is equity, because the scales are quite different for her relationships, all of her relationships. And I think that I don't want to spoil anything for the rest of the show, but basically it is quite realistic to see them and their evolution. Did you guys have any thoughts about her agency and the romance and how it's kind of handled throughout the show?
Nothing that can be said without the spoiler territory.
Okay, so
yeah,
I guess we'll just talk really fast about some fun facts, and then we can get into the spoiler territory. Oh, we'll give our scores and then we'll get into spoilers. So the Korean name for this show is actually translated into Strange Lawyer Woo Young-woo, which I don't think the Western audience necessarily would get behind versus Extraordinary Attorney Woo. So the writer, Moon Ji-won, was asked about this title. Why did you choose the title Strange Lawyer Woo Young-woo? And he said, I thought the word strange was very appropriate to describe the character Woo Young-woo. There are unfamiliar and heterogeneous negative meanings, but I thought that strangeness leads to creativity and the power to make a better society. What do you guys think of that? How do you guys feel about this title?
I am trying to learn Korean to some extent, and I think that maybe this is a case of, and I think you guys may speak other languages as well, but if you speak other languages, you know that sometimes words, when they get translated to English, are a little nuanced and off compared to like for sure, I think if we were heard strange attorney Woo, we'd be like, that's a negative, like strangeness has a negative connotation off the bat. Maybe some of us may think that who are English speakers, whereas maybe in Korean, and I don't know for sure, it's not so much something you automatically go to as like that is bad. So maybe it makes more sense in a Korean context to call it strange attorney Woo than it would for us in like a Western or American context, Anglophone context.
For me, it's a little bit complicated because I'm a writer for a living. I work in corporate America. I've been writing for 10 years, mostly in the software world. So I'm not really writing about emotional topics that often. But I do have a very intense sensitivity towards word usage. And I do feel like the word strange, as Mina said, in an English-speaking context has a negative connotation. So I get the positive spin to it, but I do understand why Netflix went with let's use extraordinary, because that's just going to be a lot more palatable for the woke audiences of the West. I
agree.
And It's Okay to Not Be Okay was originally called Psycho, but It's Okay, which they changed as well.
I knew about that one, but like, yeah.
I'm just
thanks for bringing that up.
I'm also trying to learn Korean, and it's you know, when you watch K-dramas or when you see anything and you see what the translation does, it's not just a friendly to, you know, the West or whatever. They literally just completely change things to make it make sense to us because of the whole context difference that happens within South Korean conversation. So it's really the layers of complication are there.
What I like is that the writer Moon Ji-won said there are unfamiliar and heterogeneous negative meanings. But his take was, well, I just think because she's strange, she can do all these wonderful things. But I also don't feel like that's enough.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I see what you're saying, Moon Ji-won, but it's not enough to me. All right.
I don't think he's had the sensitivity training because, for example, one of the words that you avoid, like my brother did a lot of work with the Special Olympics, and he used to work for an organization in Orlando, actually, just right by your neck of the woods, called OCA, that works with a lot of people that have lots of different disabilities. And, you know, when they do Special Olympics stuff, for example, like they never use the word normal. That's something, for example, that never gets used. So using the word strange immediately triggers the not normal thing. So that's what I'm saying. I think for this community, it just wouldn't be welcome, that word.
Right. I think there's a sense of otherness to strange attorney Woo in the Korean language that we're not getting here in the States, which may contribute to our positive feelings toward the shows because we're watching Extraordinary Attorney Woo and everyone in Korea is watching Strange Attorney Woo and they're like, wow, she is so strange. And I feel like also I wanted to mention this, that all of the negative, really biased characters in the show who are discriminating against or otherwise abusing Attorney Woo in one shape or another, I feel like the Korean audience understands where that person is coming from versus Attorney Woo's side, which is where we come in and think, you know, why aren't you sympathizing with Attorney Woo? Why aren't you putting yourself in her shoes? Why aren't you understanding the sensitivity of whatever situation they're in? And I feel like the writer intentionally did that so that eventually by the end of the episode or by the end of the show, the Korean audience would sympathize with Attorney Woo and kind of learn that these situations and these actions are not okay.
Yeah. Self-reflect.
Yeah.
I do feel like there was so much calling out that was definitely pointed towards a maybe Korean audience potentially, because they were like, well, she was #1 top of her school at Seoul National University, the best school ever in Korea, and she got 100% or whatever on the bar. I don't know anything about law school, but she, you know, they were really honing in on these things that would make like the average Korean person so proud, and highlighting that in order to be like, this is deeply like the rest of the way she's being treated by these other people is so unfair because she's just as capable, but she's different.
Yes, 100%, Mina.
That's it.
They crafted a perfect character who, without her disability, would be the cream of the crop, salt of the earth, a great person to have in your law office, and any, law firm would be happy to accept her. But, because of this one thing, they don't, even though she's great on paper. And I think that was on purpose, 100% on purpose.
Yeah. Speaking of on paper, that whole scene where like her resume, the first page was just her resume and the second page talked about her ASD.
Yeah.
Removing that page from the resume so her manager wouldn't see it and just kind of be partial to her is literally the physical representation of what you just said. If you remove the disorder from the equation, she is the most qualified person to literally run any law office in South Korea. Yet she wasn't hired for 6 months before the show starts. So there you go.
Okay. So the last thing, we talked some heavy stuff in the front half of this episode. I hope we can get a little lighter in the second half.
Yes, we will.
All right. Don't worry, guys. We'll get there. So last thing I'll say is the ratings. Extraordinary Attorney Woo from the Encyclopedia of Wikipedia. Attorney Woo set the record for the highest ratings in ENA history. It received audience acclaim with its final episode recording at 17.5 nationwide ratings, making it the 7th highest rated K-drama in Korean cable history, and 6th highest rated television drama by the number of viewers. So it really did gangbusters in Korea, especially. People were watching Extraordinary Attorney Woo. So I think a combination of factors contributed to that, and we covered a lot of that already. But I think ultimately I'm happy that it did really well, especially in Korea. I would actually rather it do well in Korea than worldwide, if that makes sense. Because I feel like Korea really needs it versus us. I don't know how to put it.
Actually, I was reading a book that said France was, so I read a book by an author with ASD who is American. I believe he's Mexican-American. He is Eric Garcia, and he wrote a book called We Are Not Broken, and I really recommend that if you're interested in ASD or just that community in general. But anyway, he mentions that France was called out by the United Nations for their treatment of the ASD community because they tend to institutionalize people. I don't think he said exactly when that was, if that's like right now, or if it was like 10 years ago or what. But I do think whoever is watching it, I think, like, I agree with you, Jess, because I'm like, I think it does almost, yeah, you could be stereotyping them, but I think the fact, like I was saying earlier in my history of studying ASD in Korea, a researcher studying it, a lot of people don't even know anything about ASD. They have like they only have negative connotations because they maybe have only seen like media representations of highly disabled or highly affected by ASD people.
Right.
So to have her is good for anyone watching it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What would you give the show out of 5 soju bottles? Don't everyone go at once.
I would only give it, I think, like 3.5. I'm on the low end of it, but that's just because I think it was hyped to an extreme extent. And maybe if I saw it while everyone else was first watching it in Korea, I'd feel differently. I don't know.
I think points taken for hype, always. Because you can't, I mean, it's different if you came out to it on your own after the fact. You didn't get into all of this hype. You weren't surrounded by all things Extraordinary Attorney Woo. And I feel you, Mina, like on that 3.5. Kathy?
So I think when I was going to give it the rating, the connection failed. So I'm thinking that's a sign that I rated it too high, but whatever, it's fine. For me, it was a solid 4. I enjoyed it. It made me cry. The acting was really superb, in my opinion. And a lot of the things about the show can be criticized, fairly so. But I do think it's more trending on the positive than the negative side.
Yeah. I'm going to go, I never do this, but I'm going to give like a halfway score. So I'm going to give 3.75 for my score because I feel in the middle between you guys about it. So yeah.
Sure.
All right.
That's fair.
All right. Let's talk spoilers and good things about this show.
Yes.
In the spoilers section, okay? Right after this, we'll be back with spoilers.
Excuse me, 뭐라고?
괜찮아.
You know I have Oh, sorry.
Swear, disgusting shit.
All right, ladies, we're on the other side of spoilers. So I don't know where you guys would like to start. If there are some storylines or episodes that you would like to talk about first. You know? Okay, yeah. Cool.
I want to talk about the Pied Piper episode, which to me was the most standout one. Also, I love Gu Gyo-han, who played the Pied Piper guy from Deserter
Yes,
Pursuit.
DP.
Love him. He's always such a weirdo, or at least he was in those two. But also, I would kill someone who did that to my kids. So.
Totally.
If I even had kids.
Yeah.
But, you know. So anyway, did you guys have thoughts about that?
I did. It was very, I was on the fence about, not about the episode, but about like the way that this character went about this manifesto kind of like thing that he was doing with the kids and kidnapping the kids. And I don't know.
He was this close to starting a child militia.
Yeah, he was like, you know, what is it? He said he was the commander-in-chief of the Child Liberation Army.
Yeah, it was a little revolutionary for sure.
I don't know why he chose to go that route and make it kind of like a military-themed club, but I loved his philosophy, so to speak, of like, you shouldn't just cage the kids and make them study for 12 hours a day instead of having them be kids just because you want them to get ahead in your society where education is priority.
Yeah.
Because you've just robbed them of childhood, essentially. I fully support that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
I was that kid in school who came into kindergarten and I didn't know my ABCs. Mind you, this was 25 years ago, but whatever. And the teacher was like, called the parent-teacher conference and was like, your child doesn't know her ABCs. Usually the kids, by the time they get into kindergarten, know their ABCs. And my mom was like, isn't this where you teach them, you know, all of this stuff? And the teacher was like, well, she's behind. Like, bottom line, she's behind. So, like, I get it that... But look at me now. I know my ABCs.
Look at you now with you know the ABC, the ATC. You have all the
vocabulary. I have
podcast,
the whole thing. So I get why they don't want to run the risk of their child getting left behind, but they're so unhappy. The kids just want to be kids and play, and it's just brutal to see them being tortured in this manner.
Yeah. I really like, there's something that I like about the show as well, and it reminds me, I watch Trixie and Katya, drag queens. They review a lot of Netflix shows, and their thing is called I Like to Watch, and then every single episode that they do, they finish it with, this show has everything, and then they list all like the major points of this.
Yeah.
So this show, literally, I put it at the end of my notes, like this drama has everything. The workaholic, work-life balance narrative, the competitiveness in school situation, the, you know, pressure is so much that sometimes people might look happy, but they might attempt to harm themselves because that's something else that happened in another episode. The dad jokes, the poop humor, the makeover with just letting your hair down and like now all of a sudden you're a different person. And the shout out of the show at the end of the last episode, Jess, that I know you like to hear the name of the show at the end. Like the show really covered all the bases. So with this, the Pied Piper episode, I also liked it. And I did like a little, all the episodes list, and I put greens, the ones that I was like, oh, this is a cool case. Like, sure, I'll get behind it. Mm-hmm. And then I put some in red, like the stupid wedding dress case. I was like, this is, no, like, stop it right now. So, yeah. But the green, I think I had like, if it's 16 episodes, but 2 of the episodes had the same case kind of carry over. I had about, I would say 10 green and 4 red. Or maybe 9 green and 5 red.
Okay.
Is what I had. So, you know, it's a positive ratio for the most part.
I think I found most of them pretty positive. Obviously, the wedding dress one was...
It wasn't about not being positive. It was, I was thinking of like what bothered me about the episode, and it could have been something stupid like the case with Gorami family, like it's like the 3 brothers and stuff. I was just like, are you really gonna tell me that she's gonna stage this like drunken thing at the funeral? Like it was all, obviously the show is a show, it's all based on loopholes. That's the only way, because I'm like, there was an actual contract that was signed, and the thing is like I almost went to law school. I was this close to going to law school, and I did like my law classes.
You're kidding.
So like I know verbal contracts.
I was hoping one of you had that experience.
No, I cannot. I don't read enough. Clearly, that's why I didn't go to law school. So this is why I'm not qualified. But just remembering like the whole thing of like verbal contracts and damages and things and all these conversations, I'm like, there was a signed paper with a seal, like the most official thing. Like this is stupid. So anyway, it could be very silly reasons why I just kind of marked them red for me. But the majority of the cases had something redeeming about them. Very few were just like, I was like, no, I can't even concentrate here. The one with the North Korean defector was one of my favorite ones.
Oh my God.
I think like I fell in love with that actress and that woman and like her character. It was just really awesome to see that whole story play out. And I feel like here when we watch law dramas or movies, everyone's so willing to lie on the stand. While in this show, everybody was like way too honest and could not lie to literally save their lives. It was hilarious.
So we have a history in the West of having really intense, memorable law procedurals. And every time someone takes the witness stand, it is like, I can't wait for shit to happen. Like, you know how like Legally Blonde, I thought it was her coming through the door.
Ammonium triglyceride activated and you killed your dad.
Yes. And then you have, you know, A Few Good Men with the whole, you can't handle the truth.
Yeah.
You know, we have these really dramatic moments in courtrooms, and there wasn't that many moments like that in Attorney Woo.
No.
I kind of wonder if they made some of the cases kind of low key so you could like also focus on the characters and the work. It was because sometimes this drama seemed like a work drama to me, workplace drama to me more than anything, and it's because they had these like all these like alliances and whatever, like, you know, who's on whose side and who's actually like, why was she hired and all this other stuff going on. So if we had intense cases on top of it more than we did, it would have been maybe too much.
I agree. I was really confused about the law practice because they seemed to take every single kind of case there was. And
I know
it's very segmented here in the West. Like the law firms are specializing in like a certain type of thing, or they have a couple of different attorneys that specialize. You know what I'm saying? Right. They do family planning, wills and trusts. They do criminal defense attorneys. That's like a specific, you can't just go to your neighborhood attorney and be like, I just got booked for this. You need I need someone to represent me in criminal. No. And then sometimes you need litigators. That's like a whole nother kind of. So for them to take all these different kind of cases, I was like reeling. I was like, what kind of law office is this where they just take any case?
I had my notes Judge Judy because they were going from like civil to criminal cases all the time.
I wish I could share my screen with you because I wrote the same thing. I wrote the literal same thing.
You thought it was People's Court.
Specifically about which case did I write it for? I can't find it here. But there was one specific case that I was like, what is this like ridiculousness here? It doesn't I put the unbelievable cases that should have been on a Judge Judy type of court, not a serious one. Like I wrote that in my notes because I felt the same way. So yeah, they were clowning. The suspension of belief situation was not.
No,
I couldn't. I was like, this is silly. But you know, the character storylines, I guess, were more important those episodes.
Yeah, ultimately I was like, I can't do anything about this. I'm just gonna have to take it for what it is. So
you had to really.
I had to really like tone it down because my mom has worked for law firms her entire life. Her entire working life. So I've been in and out for 30 years of my life in law offices and visited her and interned there and shit like that. And I was going to go to law school too, Kathy, but I didn't. As soon as I took my first, what's it called? Like the tests that you have to take, the LSAT. I took an LSAT prep class and I was like, bye.
Yeah.
Deuces.
No, I was like in pre-law and all these things, and I took a class and I made it pretty far. I was like one of the students chosen to do like the plaintiff whatever like case thing. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't. I knew it wasn't for me in the long term, and I'm glad. That's not for me.
Yo, I did an internship at the public defender's office, and I got to meet Help Me Howard.
I don't know who that is.
You don't know who that is? Oh my God, that's like South Florida royalty. It was out of the Fort Lauderdale Broward County Courthouse. And he is like a personality that goes on the news stations and they like write in like, this happened to me, like I need help me Howard or whatever. So they write into it and he gives them like legal advice and he like helps them out. And
that does sound very South Florida.
The segment is called Help Me Howard. So that's why I said I meant Help Me Howard.
Look at you.
Anyway, it's this little man with a tiny ponytail. And he's an attorney in the public defender's office. Anyway, long story short, I am a bastion of legal know-how over here. So, you know, if I say it's not right, it's not right.
Exactly. She said what she said.
I said what I said. Guys, I'm joking. I don't know anything about the law, so anyway.
And we certainly don't know anything about Korean law. That was the other thing. I was like, is this a real law? Like, what is going on here?
Yes.
I didn't understand.
I can't fact check Korean laws, and nor do I want to. Yeah. So
no.
That was another one that, without getting too deep into it, when they were toying with the idea of Woo coming to Boston, I was like, oh, so she's just gonna have to, you know, go to law school for another 3 years, take the bar, learn English, like do all the things. Like they're just talking about it like it's an easy peasy, like, you know, a home exchange, like she's an au pair or something.
But
like,
do they have branches, like Korean branch, America branch of law firms? Like that was also weird.
That was bizarre.
Is that a thing?
With the paperwork in English, with the folder, like I was like, this is not adding up.
Like it's a college like brochure
admissions package.
No, I don't. Literally, I don't think so. I'm calling bullshit on that too. Also, second to that, because you mentioned Boston, I have this in my notes. Is there like a thriving ASD community in Boston? Because I
was gonna Google it and I did not. The only thing I can think is Harvard is there. So like maybe they were trying to allude to like Harvard research, or like maybe Harvard has some amazing psych like ASD thing that she could have used as a resource, and that's why. But they couldn't say Harvard. I don't know. I really don't.
That really threw me because they were like, you could get help there. You can get counselors and therapists, and there's a thriving
Boston's water, like everyone is ASD. What's going on?
The thriving communities thing.
The thriving ASD community that they promised was in Boston.
Like
for
they all
her.
lived together.
Yeah. It was like a commune and
in a gated community.
I was like, what the fuck are they trying to sell her on here? Like, I have never heard of such a thing about Boston. Does Boston know they're spreading these lies about Boston?
I don't know. It was also weird. They were like, she could get all these resources. I was like, what resources does she need? Mm-hmm. Like, she seems pretty okay. Yeah. Like, she barely sees her dad, and she lives with him.
Yeah.
So I was like very confused where any of that was coming from.
Oh, man. Okay. So I want to talk about the chief attorney, the one that got stomach cancer, because he kind of goes through an evolution in the very first episode where he ends up
with him.
He's amazing, but he ends up apologizing to her in the very first episode because he says visiting people offsite is difficult even for ordinary attorneys. And she's like, okay. And then she starts walking out the room and he says, no, wait. Like, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. That was, you know, out of pocket. And he just recognized his own bias and condescending language in that moment. And I love that they show a lot of characters learning and kind of
very quickly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think the thing about him is he had this like strong moral compass and fairness compass, like a justice thing or something. And so when the boss lady was like, why would you not like give her a chance? Like, let's see if she can, you know, make it or not in this sort of trial run. And then he was like, okay, fine, you're right, I will. And then he catches himself like quickly when he's like not being fair to her. But I think he acted that really well. Like, I got this sense that he was someone with, like, this strong moral or just character.
I agree. He sold me on it. I wrote down her manager, Myung-seok, had the fastest turnaround of all time on going from lack of patience to full acceptance. And personally, aside from, you know, the main characters and stuff, he had the best character arc for me in terms of where he started, what he showcased, his problems, the stomach cancer, whatever, his workaholism, making him lose his wife, and then at the end kind of recovering it and being this like relaxed dude, like especially the trip to Jeju Island.
Oh yeah, that was fantastic.
He was like wearing the Hawaiian shirt and jumping into the fun car without the roof down.
He was like, I want to go in the drop top.
Yeah, and getting his pork noodles and stuff. Like I think I really like his journey and his character as a whole. Yeah, it was very entertaining to watch.
Very entertaining, very sweet. You can't help but love him. You can't help but feel that he's immediately turns into an ally. in episode 1. And he does have kind of like a YOLO experience towards the end of the show where he's just like, why am I working so hard for what? Nobody's here. And I feel like I missed out on having a full life with my ex-wife because I still love her, and I kind of messed it up like immediately with my own workaholic habits and me making her feel lonely in the relationship and stuff like that. Like he's not only learning to interact with people with ASD and having more empathy, but and also like his mentality towards law as well. He's learning from Attorney Woo how to be a social what was the term? Social justice, and have more of a heart when it comes to that, because he's just been so one-track mind all this time.
He's a perfect person for the audience to kind of anchor to, because he should represent the journey that kind of everyone goes through. And what you said about his line at the first episode, he's like, ordinary attorneys would blah blah blah, but then at that last episode he said, I can tell you what I would do, but you're not a normal person, like you're an extraordinary attorney. And that's where he, like, the full circleness of it all, it kind of comes through him. He's like the narrator almost.
He's the audience surrogate
in the exactly. Thank you.
I really like him. So episode 2, we had that wedding dress fiasco that none of us liked. The only thing that was the positive was that Attorney
the LGBT coming out at the end.
that was
coming out.
Telegraphed as well.
So funny.
That was great.
So funny.
She was like, I'm a Buddhist and I'm a lesbian, and I was like, okay, girl.
I was so excited. I was like,
I
need all this.
It was a lot. But the bride with the nip slip wasn't. The term was psychologically independent from her father. And that mirrors Woo Young-woo's own dependence on her father. And that's when she starts questioning, because there was that line, oh, have you ever like cooked a meal by yourself? Prepared a meal on your own? And she questions that of herself. Like, she's like, oh yeah, I haven't even like cooked anything by myself.
Does she roll her own gimbap?
Right.
Yeah, that's what I want to know.
Every single episode kind of tackles a different struggle of hers, a different, which is again what makes it relatable, because I'm not a cook, for example. So when they were like, oh, do you cook your own meals? I was like, damn, you don't have to attack me. I'm just watching a show.
Right.
So it's like, it just felt very relatable on many levels.
Yeah.
And that's why maybe people liked it.
Yeah. Also, you had that wedding dress thing where, of course, we play dress up, and she ends up in a wedding dress when they go undercover for the case.
Course. And the big reveal, and Kang Tae-oh just staring at her like she's a cupcake, all,
Kathy, you don't like that cheese? You don't like that cheesiness?
That's the thing. That's why I don't usually cry with movies or shows. And then this one got me, but not in that moment. It was like in the the empathy ones. But no, that one I was just like, come on, just put me through the next episode, guys. Let's speed through it.
Yeah, he's very. I mean, in this episode, he makes an effort not only to swoon for, when he looks at Attorney Woo, but he also makes an effort to place boundaries on the whale talk and creates these lunch dates for them where she's allowed to talk as much as she wants about whales. And then all the other interactions, he's like, let's talk about other things. And he can focus on other things with her outside of lunch. And I really like that like segmentation that he kind of introduces to her, where he's like, let's just this one time of day we're together, and you can, I'll listen to you and I'll interact with you. I will participate in the conversation. You can talk as much as you want about whales. And outside of that, we're going to do other things. We're going to focus on other things. And I thought that was really smart of him to do that.
I have something controversial to say.
Oh, go for it.
Do it, Mina. Go for it.
No, okay. When they first started showing that Kang Tae-oh had this sort of thing happening, growing for Woo Young-woo, I was getting so nervous because, of course, I understand that people with ASD can enter into relationships and things like that. But her specific manifestation was having this sort of social unawareness, and like even when later on in their relationship, she's like learning about consent and all this in a way, from her friend and from Gorami and things like that. I was like, it's a little weird because like he knows what he's thinking and feeling everyone wants from this relationship, but like she kind of doesn't, or has to be like she's so confused that I was getting so like internally nervous for her, and I was like, where is this going? Like, what is happening? Like, is this okay or not okay? And I don't even know where I like necessarily land. I mean, for the sake of drama land, then yeah, I here for it, but I was like, this is so strange because he knows that she is ASD, and he like is pursuing her, like you said earlier, Kathy, and but like I was like, is this okay or not okay? Like, I don't know, and it's not really for me to say, I don't think, and I'm not in the ASD community, so maybe it doesn't matter, it's irrelevant. But I was just getting really nervous at first, and then I liked when he was just like looking at her all like, you know, puppy dog eyes the whole time, and then when he finally starts to be like, hey, like, you are making me do all these weird dates with you that I didn't want to do that. Like, he finally starts telling her that, and then I was starting to feel like, okay, there's like starting to build that equity that Jess, you were talking about in the very beginning, that there's this equity happening for him though, not even for her. Like, originally I was concerned about it for her, and then it was like more like, they turned around and it was like for him, because she was like, blah blah blah, whales, dolphins, we're in Jeju, and you know, I'm gonna like call the shots. And then he's like, I actually hate this, so
yeah.
You know,
right,
can we do stuff that I want to do? And it was very interesting how it kind of played out. What did you guys think about that?
Well, so earlier when you guys were asking about how I felt about the romance and the relationship and stuff, and I was like, I can't say it without spoilers. So this is where I'm getting into that. So for me personally, I agree with you, Mina. It was a hard sell for me, this relationship, because again, she has a very elevated level of ASD when it comes to the social interactions, the physical touch. All those things are a big challenge for her. And you have this hot piece of ass that we know got all the honeys in college. He has the entire law office like vying after him.
You know how many numbers he had in his phone?
Exactly. Yeah. And he's friends with everyone. He has this
social
awesome
butterfly
personality. Exactly. So it's a hard sell. I'm not gonna lie. Like, cause Jess, you mentioned it was like, you know, Koreans need this. Like, maybe Kathy needed this too. I don't know. Speaking of myself in the third person, like, I needed to, you know, believe and love being possible for all people, including myself, kind of thing. So it was kind of a hard sell for me in that regard. But even also, again, bringing it back to the relatability thing and to the listening thing, in relationships that are typical, let's say, men, and especially in Latin communities, have this whole thing of like, oh, the old ball and chain. My wife is just yapping all day and she won't shut up. And this man is listening to whale talk all day. And like, you really want me to buy into the fact that he's really enjoying it when every other man out here is like done with how much his wife talks, you know?
I see what you're saying, especially in the Hispanic community where there's like, it's almost a joke at this point, but it's not.
Yeah. Yeah,
because she cooks and cleans and raises the kids, but you're still bitching about her talking to you. Like, anyway, that's another conversation for another day. But
for another day,
I was really nervous as well watching their romance unfold and them getting to know each other, because they weren't really getting to know each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, she wasn't making an effort to get to know him, see what he liked, wanted to do things that he wanted to do on the dates. Everything was on her time, her tempo, whatever was making her happy, everything was to placate her. And that's not a real relationship. That's he's not being himself there. It's not real. You know what I'm saying? No matter how much he loves her.
Saying like, you're her babysitter. I was like, that is like real, because it did seem like he was just like placating her constantly. And she was like a kid, and he's like, oh my god, you love whales, let's go look at whales and let's go buy ice cream. It was like very
and again, every episode kind of attacks a different area of her life. So that episode where they had the woman with the intellectual challenges and the I wrote it down as Jess will laugh. I don't know, Mina, if you'll like understand this, but the Papi Chulo guy, like with kind of like the gigolo character, where he like again had a precedent that it wasn't just this one girl. He had done it before. Of
taking advantage,
gotten involved with a woman that had intellectual disabilities, and then it's not even just me, like or us as an audience. Woo Young-woo herself sees herself in that situation where it's like, can people really love each other when they are coming from such different walks of life? It's a tough sell to everyone outside, even though
also don't forget Kang Tae-oh used to be a volunteer at like a community center.
That friend.
I was like, icky.
So they don't talk about that again, that he was like volunteering at one of these facilities or clubs or something. So yeah, that was in episode 10, the sexual assault case against the girl with autism, and I found that episode really powerful and evocative.
No, she didn't have autism. She had something
Okay,
else.
so she had something else.
And
especially
developmental
when it came to the family and the mom of the girl being really overprotective, she didn't want to give her daughter any agency, which is coming back to that agency talk we were having before. And the girl crying at the sentencing because she loves him and she didn't want him to go to jail and all this stuff. And, you know, Attorney Woo is pondering the way that those with an intellectual disability have no control or agency when it comes to love, and how someone, quote unquote, normal or with more authority than them can come along and deem their love invalid. And how Jun-ho comes in at that point and gently says that even if loving her is hard, he'll keep doing it. And if she says that something is love, if she's in love, then it is. Like, because you say it is, it is. And you don't need anybody else's validation or anybody else's opinion about it. And I absolutely agree with him, and I absolutely disagree with him as well, because then you have the case with the sexual assault, which is really muddy waters. Extremely muddy
Why
waters.
did they make that episode?
Consent.
Was it to mess with
I
us?
don't know.
Like, why was it even there?
Listen,
Why?
it was to attack all of us, because we were like, at that point where episode 10 is where they have their first kiss.
Yes.
I think so. So it's like,
Which is
all
the
these
most
things are happening at the
precious
same
kiss
time.
scene of all time.
I'm like, this is the one K-drama where it's justified that you wait till episode 10 to show it to me. Like, I completely am on board with you.
Yeah.
100%. But yeah, it was very, like you said, it's very muddy waters. Like what can you, how do you qualify consent when there is an intellectual disability, which wasn't Woo-young-K's at all, because she is neurodivergent. It's a different thing. She doesn't really have any intellectual challenges. She's an incredibly intelligent woman, but still, it's like her life and the way that she interacts with social cues and things is very different. And what she understands, like you said, what he wants, he knows what he wants. He's very clear about it. Maybe she doesn't. Maybe she's cool with going out to, grab trash from the beach as a date. That's cool for her. Very different people here we have that we're working with.
Absolutely. Yeah, I want to go back to that kiss scene though, because it was very well done.
It was. I agree.
And it was like the softest, swooniest of kisses in the dark. And I have like help in my notes. Okay, so what did you guys think of that kiss though?
Obsessed.
It was so funny how she's like, are we supposed to be clanging teeth together?
Yeah, she's like, how can I breathe while I think that was later. She was asking her the CEO of the company in the elevator. She's like, I want to know your problems. She's like, I'm not really sure how to kiss without not choking. It's like, this is adorable. This is absolutely adorable. But yeah, the teeth clinking, like the shoes like lifting up to reach his height, the light going out because it's like the motion sensing thing, and like the shot itself was cinematographically beautiful.
Cinematography wise, I guess.
Thank you.
I don't know what word you came up with, but
I work as a writer. This is what I do every day, guys.
Girl,
I
feel you.
Don't have the words. I still don't have the words.
I feel you.
It was beautiful. It was a beautiful shot. I loved it.
I'm glad we are all on the same page that the kiss scene was good. What did you guys think of the segue into the lottery ticket between the friends that they want to split the winnings, and that's like that same episode? And the girl from Business Proposal has a cameo in this. The one that says, I have no chingu.
Oh, is she the one who plays the like,
coffee
cigar girl?
Yes. She's like a coffee
The
runner.
person.
Yes.
I wonder why she looked familiar. I was like, who is
This
that?
is her year, because she's in 3 of the top K-dramas in 2022. She was in Business Proposal, she's in Attorney Woo, and she's in Alchemy of Souls. She's having a year. I didn't like how we got the white truck of death though.
Yeah, that escalated very quickly.
Yeah.
Like the episode that's one of the episodes where like one of the bigger plot twists in the storyline, because this man comes in carrying his wife because her heel broke, the most loving husband dude ever that you're not real, literally wasn't real, and then ends up being like the biggest douchebag after all his wife did for years for him, for their kids, and then literally got taken out by a white truck of a different kind in a K-drama, but very K-drama-like. and then Woo has her like freak out, her triggered, understandably so, because she just watched a person die. And Kang Tae-oh had, I don't know, seen Grey's Anatomy and saw the episode where you can get hugged really tightly and it helps. And he and I both knew what to do, so it was great. It was great for both of us.
I didn't expect the Grey's Anatomy reference, but that's great. That's fantastic. Yeah, he hugs her tightly, and it's I think some like a tried and true mechanism.
But I've heard it's been debunked.
Has it?
But apparently isn't. Yeah, because I know Temple Grandin, who is ASD, like I think came up with it or something, and she got a lot of comfort out of it. But then I think it depends who it is. It's not something you can just like for him to do that was a little risky, maybe potentially if she's a real person, because some people would not, especially because she's very touch sensitive, and some people on ASD would not
respond positively to it.
I see.
Right.
Yeah.
But it was still like, I think that is something that's in the ether of public knowledge of like some people know about that, like kind of.
I think it's mostly for like anxiety relief, not necessarily specific to ASD, and that's where like I guess it gets tricky because like you said, Mina, you have to know who you're dealing with and if the person is going to respond positively to it or not. But in her case, she was definitely like having an episode where I mean he stepped in and it worked for them. But yeah, it's as a panic thing. As someone who has a weighted blanket, I can attest to the powers of weight and feeling. But a blanket
and some dude suddenly just being like,
listen,
it's a little bit
Kang Tae-oh has an excuse to hug me tightly,
Kang Tae-oh.
If he has any excuse to hug me tightly, I will take it. Whatever.
Yeah, she was having a sensory overload episode, and he hugged her tightly, and then later he kind of shows off that he's been doing homework, and then talks about this chair that you could buy that hugs you very tightly and stuff. I actually have been wanting to talk about this, so let's talk and segue into one of the quote-unquote villains of the story, and that's attorney Kwon, jealous attorney that's worked with her a bunch of times throughout the show.
Yeah.
I love him.
I gotta say, I loved him too.
I think he's great.
He's
bad, but like, I mean,
so I was expecting, because of the K-drama editors and the way that he was portrayed in a lot of social media posts and the way people were like, I can't stand this guy, blah, 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 very upset about him. I didn't find anything wrong with I didn't have any issues with him. I understood. I
think he made some valid points.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, do you want to talk about it?
He's like, she's our competition, and she has an advantage over us because she's a certified genius, quote unquote. And who the hell are we?
My only thing, sorry, Mina, is that I think they worked the ATM manufacturing case together, and like that company, and he almost screwed up his own case from trying to screw her over. And that's where the problem was. He definitely had a great redemption arc, like 100%. His turnaround was great. But there was a point where he was trying to be against her that it was hurting his own like clients, and that's a problem.
I agree with you to a certain extent, especially for that case where he was like withholding information from her.
Correct.
And they were supposed to be working on it as jointly, and that didn't make sense because you want the best outcome from for your client, and he was actively sabotaging the case, so that didn't make any sense to me. That was like a very short. Maybe he was looking at the long con, but not the short con, because he was like, "Yeah, you're my competition, and we're on a contract basis, and you're my competition essentially. I want to get my contract renewed next year, and you're in the way of that." But whatever, I agree with you. But he makes a really good argument in like episode 7. Especially because he's talking to the bestie attorney, and he's talking about the nepotism, how she got the job and stuff. Yeah. And he's talking about unfair employment. He says she's the strong, she's not weak. She wins every time, but we can't attack her because she's autistic. She gets special treatment, and it's not fair. And I gotta be honest, like, even though it's coming from this like weasel character, very jealous, semi-entitled, ableist perspective, I totally understand why he was mad and why he was very antagonistic towards Attorney Woo. And at the very least, not supportive of her throughout the show. And I can't really fault him for this argument for the nepotism, because it's not the nepotism itself that got her the job. It's because of the systemic kind of discrimination against people with ASD and mental disabilities that didn't allow her to get hired anywhere. Yeah. So then it kind of like was nepotism came to the rescue in this case. And it kind of in a weird way. And it's absolutely true that she got the job because of connections, and that she's given special treatment, and that she's absolutely formidable and strong, and others treating her delicately kind of seems ridiculous in his mind because she holds her own time and time again. So what did you guys think? Like, I'm very confused why people were so upset with this man.
Before we talk about why he was upsetting, I just want to point out that the scenes where he's just goofing around the bestie and she's like, oh my God, I love him and I can't handle it. Yeah. Soo-yeon. Yeah. I thought we're so cute. I was like, he was like just clowning her all the time. And then he was like, what the hell's your problem? Like, why are you being so mean to me? And she's like, I can't deal with you. Goodbye. And I just love that dynamic. But yeah, I think people did. I think it was, I think the purpose of him, which maybe we sort of touched on to some extent, was like he was what the average Korean person not affected by ASD or not aware of ASD or not aware of just disability or any kind of discriminatory practices, that's what he was being the voice of them. And so he was being, I think, so in your face about it that people felt, maybe, I'm guessing, I didn't see anything about this, maybe people who are watching who are in Korean society were like, I feel called out, I feel attacked, and so they didn't like it because maybe they think themselves to be like very like, you know, like I'm very open-minded and I would definitely hire her, and then he was like echoing what probably would really go through their minds if they were in that situation, and maybe that was too much for them. That's just a guess I had.
I will say I'm not on Korea Talk that much, but I was seeing stuff coming from people here in America, so basically the Western perspective, people kind of like, they were joke TikToks, but at the same time people were very upset like with the character. I didn't feel any type of way, like, really.
No, he was a minor, like the you know, the stupid things, like, you know, posting on the website kind of thing, the anonymous post that he did. That was all harmless. Like, I mean, he could have done damage had he followed through with Tae-sumi on the plan to get her to either quit or get fired. Like, he could have, but he didn't. Like, it wasn't all that. Like, there's no truly evil person in this show. In part of the cast of the lawyers and stuff. Obviously, the clients is a different story. The people that come with their cases, but yeah.
And he gave a little, like, that backstory of like, well, I have to work for a living. Okay, my dad isn't a judge at the Korean Supreme Court or whatever. Right. Dad was. So they gave a little story like, my parents are sick, they're old, I'm the only like person who can help with their medical bills or whatever thing he was alluding to. And I did appreciate that they did say that because they made him even more realistic. I felt he was 100%. Very realistic, especially in the fields of like corporate law or whatever law they practice there.
Yeah. Yeah, he's up against a girl that like has some sort of contact that he doesn't understand with the top CEOs of the top law offices in Korea. And then Soo-yeon is a daughter of a judge. So, you know, he's against two people that are never going to have an issue going anywhere in life, basically.
And I think that, I don't know if any one of you has been really competitive throughout your academic career, but I used to be, like, way, way back in the day. And I totally understand that feeling of, I am trying my hardest and I can only get like an A-, like a B+ or an A-, whatever it is. And somebody else who never studied, never like did any of the work, never turned in anything, gets an A on the final, and like they pass the class. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the difference between effort. And for Tony Wu, like,
it's so many things in life, so many like lines of work have to do with who you know and who are you? Like, are you the daughter of a judge or whatever? And maybe not nepotism, but just like connections. And these two had, like, in out of the three of them, he had the weakest connections to people. Because Woo Young-woo was the manager lawyer's like favorite, like very obviously, Myung-seok's, and for whatever reason, I mean for her own reasons, but the CEO lady lawyer, also wanted her there. So
Yeah.
I get why he felt so threatened.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, made sense.
Yeah. I thought they did the guy that played the Pengsoo. I don't know whether to call him the defendant, I guess. Yeah, the defendant.
Yeah, because he was accused.
Who also had ASD, but like a more severe type of ASD. The number one, why did they got to do that actor dirty by making it seem like he's like a giant hefty dude? Like they had these like sound effects when he was walking.
I think they were trying to say. Well, also they had like the Pengsoo shirt he was wearing was so small, and I was like, why is it so extra small for him? Like, is he shopping in the kids section? And like, yeah, it was.
Yeah, I had some questions there. Like they made him look so big, and they didn't need to do all that. They were like had like forced perspective in some of the shots and stuff. And I was like, why? This is so mean.
I thought it was something to do with like he's an adult, but he's a child mentally, or something weird. Maybe they're trying to like depict that through that portrayal, but yeah, it was weird. Totally weird.
Yeah,
that was one of the episodes. I actually put that one half in red, half in green because it was good that they had the intention of portraying a different level of ASD, but I think the way in which they went about it was the wrong characterization. They cartoonified that struggle with like the singing and the microphones, like Jess is saying, the forced perspective, the stomping, it was like that was a character that the audience was almost like, if you were in the room, you'd be scared. And that's not the intention that they should have been pushing with him. So I have my issues with that episode in general.
I agree with you.
But the good part was that they talked about the pressure that people feel and just all the things that go through people's heads when they have to put up this like front that they're amazing and perfect, and really they're struggling mentally and mental health.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
I thought that was important.
Number 2, you mentioned the rap. I love the rap though. Like the Pengsoo rap was hysterical.
It was funny. It was funny, but I think I was like on the plane and I was like, what is happening?
No, yeah,
I think it was borderline offensive to people with ASD because he was so like I know like some people like whatever they like, but like, you know, wherever they're on the spectrum, but like it was when they did it like for the second time or tried to do it for a second time, I was like, okay, we saw it, like stop.
Yeah.
I got you guys. I feel you guys. But I think part of that conversation when you're talking about people who are putting up a front and really struggling internally, like the parents in that scenario were a whole mess. A whole mess.
They're like, yeah, just put this one in jail who tried to save our son just because we don't want anyone to know that like the star doctor to be student was not really having the time of his life.
Yeah,
like,
they
ridiculous.
would rather deny that the kid was suicidal and having a hard time in medical school and let their younger son go down for murder than admit that he was trying to unalive himself continuously and improve their younger son's case. Like, it doesn't compute to me.
Well, I think it was like, he's the quote-unquote defective one, so he can be a murderer. He can afford to be a murderer. But our quote-unquote perfect son... No, I think that's what they were trying to say. I'm not saying that's why I think.
I know, but it's still such bad
son,
optics. Just terrible.
Yeah. Like, being someone who wanted to, you know, take his own life was too much for them, which is totally twisted thinking, but that is what they thought, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. I have in my notes, fuck those parents who were clearly in denial about their suicidal son.
Yeah.
That's just, it just hurts everybody. Like, not like, anyway.
Yeah, it does.
I was mind blown about the Asperger's dude being a Nazi collaborator. That's when they were like, Attorney Wu was having like voiceover, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
Talking about how.
Yes, he was. So that was in my research as well, that Asperger of Asperger syndrome fame was Hans Asperger. He was a researcher on autism. He's the one who realized that it was something that existed on a continuum, because before that they were trying to like, first they thought ASD was something like schizophrenia, and they're like, no, actually, no, that's not what that is. And then they like had all these ideas. He is the one who realized it was something on a spectrum, and he got a lot of acclaim for that knowledge. But what was less known at first and then came out to light more, is that he very much collaborated with Nazis, including sending children to be euthanized by Nazis. I'm assuming those are disabled children or psychologically quote unquote unfit children or something like they were doing back then. So yeah, we don't really want to, toot his horn too much because of that. And actually ASD came about in 2013 as far as it being a term because they decided to combine what they originally called autism disorder with Asperger's, realizing that all of it together sort of under the same umbrella.
Right. Yeah, but that blew my mind. I had to pause the show and I was like, wait, what? Like, it truly...
I will say this. Sometimes people who are fans of K-pop or K-media are like, Korean people don't know anything about World War II. And I'm like, no, they clearly know what Nazis are because she just said it.
Yeah.
She just said it. So get away with that stuff.
What the hell? I never heard that in my life. Mino.
Because when idols wear, or their stylists make them wear something and it's like a little edgier, or like they do something that is a little edgy, and then they're like, well, how are they supposed to know? They don't know those things. And it's like, I think they do. I think they know. They have some awareness. They may not see it as like egregiously as everybody who are affected do, but they know.
Lord. Okay, that's a conversation for another time, I guess. But wow, I'm reeling. Okay, so I was very taken aback with the prosecutor and the judge for this case as well, because the prosecutor started going down this line of questioning that was completely irrelevant and discriminatory. And the judge was like, overruled, it's not irrelevant and it's not discriminatory toward people with ASD. Because the prosecutor tries to discredit the defense's argument, saying that because the defendant has autism, he's mentally unfit and should have a reduced sentence. But because you're saying that people with ASD are mentally unfit, then that means that the argument that Attorney Woo Young-woo just made is also unfit, and we should discredit that as well. And I was like, whoa. This is not, I was very distraught by this kind of happening and the judge being okay with it.
Yeah.
I mean, this is where I was like, I don't understand Korean law. I don't get it. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't think it's wrong. I just don't get it.
It's the first time that I see a courtroom showcase, like in a Korean courtroom. So I wasn't sure of like the vibe of the judges and what they say and don't compare to judges here or like in TV here. But yeah, there was a lot of jumping to conclusions and things just kind of being misconstrued a little bit.
Yeah. Because all of us, in this case, Attorney Woo's statements should not be held to the same standard as unimpaired attorneys. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, I was legitimately, I just couldn't believe.
The comparison wasn't there. The math wasn't mathing on that one.
No, not at all. Something that I really liked was throughout the show, she is shown going through the revolving door at the office, right? Which is played for laughs early on in the show. Yeah. And then she just kind of does it on and off like the rest of the show. And to me, it was kind of like a lesson in facing your fears, that she takes the revolving door even though she can use the regular door. And she sees obstacles, yet she still overcomes them. And we all have revolving doors in our lives that we have to talk ourselves into waltzing through. And we do it in spite of the fear. And she does it despite her ASD. And I was like, really touched by just her kind of bravery for what you perceive as a small thing. But it's not to her.
I also saw it as a manifestation of her kind of the running underlying theme of wanting to be a little more liberated, or not liberated, but like, independent from her father.
Yes.
Like that was another one of the, like her facing her fears or going to work. And it's very important to her that she does, like her dad makes the breakfast gimbap and the lunch gimbap and that's it. And she does everything else, including going through the door. Even though she could do these other things, she wanted to be, this was her chance she finally got after so many months of trying to get a job. And she wanted to strive for this thing and become more self-sufficient, independent, all the things that everyone who's a young adult wants. So I think it's a little of both of those.
I agree. And at some point she says to her dad, I don't like it when you intervene in my life and prevent discouragement. Because he's kind of shielding her from things and telling her things at opportune times instead of letting her kind of process things as they come. And instead of him blocking bad things from happening to her, she's like, let them happen to me. I want to be discouraged. I want to face things like an adult, like someone without a disability. And I completely applaud her for that. It is like one of a million themes that this show kind of touches on is, like you said, Mina, her independence and her self-sufficiency is very important to her.
And her being like one of the most resilient characters and just like strong, like genuinely strong, like putting herself, like you said, knowing there's another door right next to it, putting herself constantly in situations that challenge her to the max, just to do it and to be kind of closer to running with the wolves that she is with in this life and work situation.
Kathy, you mentioned cinematography. So in episode 9, they put an orca in a courtroom, and I was like, this is the best thing I've seen all year. It was beautiful.
Yeah. So I think, I don't know, when I first talked to you about the show that I was like, that I had seen it and there were things that I liked and I didn't like. So the whole like CGI whale, Herbalescence's Epiphany, Beyonce hair fan situation that happened every time she had like the conclusion that was going to save like the world. Yeah. I hated that. But that painted orca in that conference room was it. Like, it was really it. It was beautiful. It was absolutely stunning.
Yes, visually stunning. And they do it a couple of more times, but that orca in episode 9 was stunning. The final like shot with all of the whales and porpoises swimming / flying through the air as she's taking the overground train. That's all great. I really appreciate those scenes. Overall, the show was like just very airy and bright. That was the look of it. Despite some of the heaviness of some of these cases. Did you guys have other cases?
Man died.
Yeah.
I just want to go back to Pied Piper real quick because I don't understand why they wrote it like that. Like, why would he take them to the mountains? Why wouldn't he take them to like a playground? I'm like so stuck on some of these things. I'm like, what is happening?
No,
like,
but
why
it's
is
true.
This, like,
because you're like, sorry, a grown man is taking 12 kids to the forest, not on my watch.
Yeah, like, he couldn't take him to the Y? Like, I'm confused.
Yeah. Right. Take him in somewhere where it's, like, public and, like, their like, also when he was like, don't call your parents or whatever weird thing he said, I was like, oh, no.
Yeah.
Like,
issue after issue.
It was weird. And then they were trying to make him seem subversive in a good way, which I agree with Jess when you were saying, like, I liked his philosophy, but the way they chose to depict that, I was like, what is happening?
He's such a creeper. Such a creeper. Don't call your parents.
He wanted the kids to watch him get sentenced to jail. I was like, oh no.
Oh yeah, that was sad. I was sad that happened.
Yeah.
The other episode that I wanted to touch on was when they went to Jeju Island to, do the case, do all the whale watching, and meet the sister. Meet the in-laws.
Let's talk about this.
So, this is my thing. I love that Jun-ho wants to live in this world where everyone just appreciates everyone for all the great things that they are and for all the great things that they bring to the table. Mm-hmm. But you're really going to sit here and tell me that this man is confused every time someone asks him, like, are you really doing this? Like, are you really going to take on this challenge? And he's like, what do you mean?
Right.
What are you talking about? All confused. Yeah. Like, his sister's like, dude, mom and dad are going to kill you. Like, I don't understand why I think it's normal. Like, if I were dating someone that I think would have an issue with a social interaction, I would be like, hey, like, I'm dating someone. This guy that I'm dating has a little bit of a social anxiety, so maybe he doesn't like to be hugged or whatever. Like, you warn people about what you're bringing home. Like, because let's say he doesn't have to say anything to his friends. Like, his friends are irrelevant, but his family, it's a different story. Mm-hmm. So that kind of pissed me off. His
naivety,
there was cluelessness. It was more than that. It's like it seemed obviously not on purpose, but it's like you're being obtuse right now.
Yeah,
you're this is not. No. Mm-hmm. So I didn't enjoy that.
I thought the conversations where they were starting to get at, like, well, how are you going to, like, live your life like this? Because I kept wondering, not to get, like, weird about it, but, like, how are they going to be intimate? Because she's struggling. And not only that, he keeps calling her Attorney Woo.
Very
which maybe
formal.
Then he stopped by, like, was zoning out by then. Yeah. Like, he just kept addressing her as that. And they like barely touched because she couldn't handle, which is obviously admirable. I don't want him to like do anything weird, but like, where does he see this going then? Yeah. Because it's not like she's going to suddenly be cured of her ASD. Yeah. She may or may not overcome these issues. It didn't seem like she was really overcoming them by the end anyway. That's also why I'm like, why is there going to be a season 2 of what?
I agree with you. And I mentioned this in, I think, pre-spoilers section, was how can she satisfy him? Because it seems like he really wanted to have that intimacy with her, with even just holding hands. Like, he was like really excited to hold hands with her.
57-second, like,
and she was
mark
like,
that
well,
she couldn't even meet with him.
Yes, she couldn't even do 57 seconds. And I was like, how? He was visibly disappointed and kind of let down in that situation. And he convinced himself that he only needed 57 seconds of hand holding. And I'm like, okay, no, but when
57 seconds ain't enough for anything, girl.
Yeah, I was like, I don't see this being supportive of what you need in a relationship. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I my love language or whatever you want to call it is physical touch, then how are you going to function in this relationship?
It's what Mina said. It's not being weird. Like, we're being taken on this journey, on this fantasy of believing. Again, I am trying very hard to root for love and to root for people overcoming challenges, but I don't know how they're gonna get past that kiss. And when you know, like, the physical feelings that one gets with intimacy, the physical bodily reactions, how would she react when her body starts responding? It's scary if you think about it. And that's when I was like, I'm not on board. And I think that's also why, to bring back why Laura left the show, she was like, she asked me, she's like, is Jun-ho like the love interest? And I said yes. And then she goes, I'm done with the show. Yeah. Like, she was just like, it was too cut and dry for her. That she's like, this is not even remote. Like, I would rather watch sci-fi or the Avengers, and the CGI is more believable than this thing. So
it was just strange because it makes you really wonder, what is Jun-ho's like end game goal, and like what is going on? I don't know. I found it confusing.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I agree.
Yeah, we're all on the same page here about this quasi romance that like never got off the ground. Truly, because of all of these compounding issues that are not. It's not like we're talking about, you know, she doesn't like the flowers I bring home, so like now I have to choose different flowers. It's not like superficial things. These are deal breakers.
Yeah.
You know?
And whenever they're trying to have, like, he's trying to have a conversation with her, she has an epiphany about
She's
something.
She's fucking like,
and then she leaves.
Walks away. Yeah.
She is out.
I love when
middle of their
I
breakup.
love the breakup, because he's finally like, are you kidding me? That's it? You're just going to leave? Are you actually talking about a case right now? Because she has her epiphany with the whales and shit. And then just like goes on a tangent and leaves. Just like walks off in the middle of their breakup.
Comparison or the analogy with like a cat is very real. I think anybody that owns a cat or that has been around cats is like, yes, I see that comparison. That analogy was actually pretty fair. So.
But like, you want to get married to a cat. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, follow that through. Anyway, I agree.
Can I ask one question?
Absolutely.
Do you think Jung to the Good to the Rami is like going to get with Kim Min-sik, her boss, or like what is that? What is that relationship? Ugh. Or like what? I mean, I'm not saying I want them to. I'm just don't understand why they're like.
No, I don't. What is their deal? I see that as more of like a brother-sister dynamic in my eyes, at least. I don't get that at all, because she like doesn't even do her job. Like, she works there, like he's paying her to not work. It's kind of weird. That date he went on with. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, does someone also
like the other one? Like, what is their dynamic? I really couldn't. Maybe sibling is the right one that you said, but I didn't know what to think of that.
I don't get it. I feel like she's just very agile with like how she makes people buy into her craziness, how wild she is, and she's just like, you're gonna hire me and you're gonna pay me to like do the dishes, and I don't even gonna do the dishes. So. That's that on that. That date with Soo-yeon was such
What if
a
in
mess.
season 2 she gets with Kwon Min-woo?
That's
no, because they're setting it up for him and Soo-yeon.
Kathy's like, no, don't ruin this for me.
Sorry, I'm very sold on them.
It's funny
because you know had his redemption.
I actually would love that couple.
And now he's like, he wanted to act like a fool or live like a fool.
He wanted
at the end.
Yeah,
he wanted to live like a fool. So it's all because Soo-yeon told him that that's how he should be.
Yeah.
So.
They have really good moments in Jeju together.
Yeah,
my favorite is when she tells him, "Oh yeah, I'm Catholic too," and then she stops bowing during the Buddhist like ritual. And he's like, "What's your baptismal name?" "Mine's Gabriel." She goes, "Oh, mine's Jenny." He's like, "Fucking Jenny."
Blackpink.
Yeah, he's like, "Are you the saint of Blackpink? What is that name?" And I died laughing.
It was very funny. That humor was really funny. Those 2 episodes were great. I really liked them.
Yeah. Did you see, the senior attorney getting stomach cancer? Because I'm on the fence about this device, like that the writer did with the.
Why?
Yeah.
I had so many questions about a lot of the plot twists. Yeah. Like he was just gone and then she's being bullied by the other upside down attorney. I forget his name.
Upside down attorney. That's a great way to call it.
Attorney. Yes. He's like the brother in Crash Landing on You, and then he's also been in Beyond Evil, which coincidentally we've reviewed those two shows on the podcast. He was awful. If anyone was a villain, he was a villain.
You're right. Yeah, when I said that there was no villains, I was wrong.
Yeah.
That guy sucks.
Like, fuck that guy.
There's nothing redeeming about him. Absolutely.
Yeah, he is terrible. But yeah, they sidelined the good senior attorney.
But for what purpose? To what end?
Right.
Why are we doing this?
I agree with you, Mina.
So that we understand that, you can't just dedicate your life to working, and you have to make time for your personal life. And I believe that as a result of the show or something, somebody was probably on TikTok commenting on the diseases that are rampant in South Korea that are like linked directly to workaholism. It's a thing. So I do think, again, this show has everything. It's just they wanted to tackle all it's like Winnie the Pooh, how like Winnie the Pooh is social commentary on like being obese, being depressed, being like on drugs, like Tigger is like on cocaine or whatever. Like every character is like a problem of society. Yeah, there's
she's right. She's right.
Winnie the Pooh was my favorite Disney character, so I know like the not so good part about it. So yeah, so this show is like, we're gonna talk about all the things in South Korean society that are rampant right now that we need to fix, and we're gonna do it with one show, 16 episodes, and we're gonna just like change life. They really tried.
16 hours later, we're gonna fix all of society's problems.
Yeah.
So I don't know if stomach cancer in South Korea has been linked to overwork. I wouldn't be surprised if that definitely played a part, but I did want to point out that in Western countries, stomach cancer is quite rare, and it's very high in definitely South Korea, maybe also Japan. So
oh wow, yeah.
That's just a fun fact.
I kind of figured as much.
And the fact that with him it was like stage 3, and then like his mom comes to the freaking surgery, and then Woo Young-woo's like, "Don't die," and like it's
messy. It's messy.
The cringe was hurting my soul.
Yeah.
The other thing
it did make sense that the.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I was just going to say it makes sense, though, that the like top hospital for stomach cancer would be in Seoul due to the prevalence there. So,
yeah.
Anyway.
It all makes sense. It's all like it's all making the full circle. What I was going to bring up was going back to the spectrum and ASD in general and to the stereotypes presented during the show.
Yeah.
I found it quite interesting that when they started introducing us to the fact that Woo Young-woo was the daughter of Tae-sumi.
Yeah.
And they kind of had that run-in at the mall. And then Sumi was like fixing things. Like she has OCD. And then her son, who is a genius, also has OCD. And his favorite thing to eat is kimbap. So there was a lot of like...
They were like they were bringing in genetics into it, that it's hereditary. These like...
It can be.
Things.
Yeah.
And I was like,
it was
whoa.
setting it up. They were setting it up to kind of be like, surprise, but not really. You knew this was coming.
Yeah.
the relationship there. So I think that also kind of is a nod to like maybe going towards Asperger's or like lower levels in the spectrum, where people can be very, very high functioning and seem just like neurotypical when they are out and about in school, whatever, even when they're geniuses and they're just solving Rubik's Cube at the speed of light kind of thing. And then you have Woo Young-woo. So I thought it was interesting, those parallels that they were trying very obviously to draw.
Right. So Mina, you're saying it is hereditary?
It can be, yeah. So there are instances where sometimes people may have multiple children, and all of them or more than one of them will be somewhere in ASD spectrum, or parents and children, there may be a connection there. Sometimes ASD people will marry each other. And then, of course, sometimes you would expect to see more cases of their offspring being ASD. So it's not completely unheard of. I do think it was interesting they used that, if that's what they were doing, as they clearly were, as like a foreshadowing kind of a thing. It's clever. it worked out well. But it was a little weird because like it was so kind of elementary. It's like he loves gimbap too. It's like, oh, okay, we get it.
Yes. That's my complaint, is that it was very simple, I guess.
Yeah.
Elementary. Yeah. I like that word.
Yeah.
I think that's basically like the end of my notes. Did you guys have anything else that you want to talk about, or any of the other cases that were maddening? Well, yep, I had one. The women's discrimination case in the workplace where they were firing all of the wives.
I was gonna say, I just really like that attorney, social justice. We don't care if we lose her attitude.
Yeah,
that I loved that, and I wish that maybe if season 2 kind of like takes a better thing. Woo doesn't belong in Hanbara. She belongs in a place like with this lawyer lady, girl power and social justice. I would like to see that journey for her. I think that would make a lot more sense. And that would be fun. I enjoyed that episode just because of that lady.
Yeah. Great. She was very inspiring and wonderful. And she's also had a good few years because she was in Hometown Cha Cha Cha, one of the, main townspeople. I really kind of was stunned with the reaction at the end of their trial, which they lost. Unbelievably, they lost. And they were still very happy and celebratory, and were like, we were making strides. And I'm like, what strides, baby? Like, you lost. Like, I was very emotional about this case in particular.
So in my podcast, I talk a lot about actually discrimination in South Korea specifically. I have a whole season about women, and we covered Kim Ji-young born 1982, which was a huge feminist thing. And there's been a lot of feminist movements in Korea, and they do have some anti-discriminatory laws sort of, but just a blanket you cannot discriminate based on color, creed, class, blah blah blah. They don't so much have that. And so the way this was portrayed was interesting to me, because it was the kind of loophole in the whole deal was you only have to you're allowed to it was weird because one spouse has to go of the two spouses, but it doesn't specifically say the wife has to go, but you just pressure the wife, which isn't illegal because she's voluntarily resigning. The whole thing was so fishy and weird. And I think for maybe, I'm again totally guessing because I'm not Korean and I don't live in Korea, but for Korean people who are part of the activist movements, of which there are many, there's LGBT rights, there's women's rights, there's the disability rights. People were out there this year in Seoul, shutting down the whole subway station system because they were like, we can't wheel our wheelchairs in here, it's not accessible. And so they were just holding up trains in between the trains. So anyway,
I guess they don't have any ADA compliance over there, so
right, and they don't have to legally. They don't have to. So that's kind of what they might have some laws of surrounding it, but there's all these similar kinds of loopholes or things where they don't really have to, the way we have it here, for example. So I think for people who are in the activism space, it would maybe resonate with them a lot more. We lost, but isn't it funny? It probably makes more sense maybe to them. And it's been it is a big thing there for a lot of people, these anti-discriminatory laws and protests about how they don't have them really. So
that's
unfortunate.
I don't know how to talk about that without getting really upset, but yeah. Thank you for sharing, Mina. And go listen to her podcast when she says she does all these episodes. They're so great and informative. And I listened to a bunch of them, especially I remember the book one that you talked about. Oh my God, that one was...
I will be honest, if you don't read the books, you don't really have to, because I almost don't talk about the book. I talk around the book.
Which is really helpful.
I talk about issues. Yeah. And it sort of contextualizes the book, which often bleeds into things like K-pop and K-pop.
Yes, so, absolutely.
But that one was my most, for me, interesting to read and also depressing.
So talking about women, I think the last thing that I want to talk about was the portrayal of motherhood in this show, because you had a few different kinds of mothers running through the cases in each episode, which of course was episodic. Each case did not flow into the next episode. Mm-hmm. And then you have Attorney Woo's own mother, who I was on the fence about her characterization, if I should consider her a villain or not, or if I should just consider her a very ambitious woman who has every right to, abandon her child and continue on the warpath to her own career success. Did you have any thoughts about the mom?
In my research about autism, ASD stuff, they were just saying quite a lot that the emphasis of get into the best school you humanly possibly can and get the best job you humanly possibly can, because otherwise you essentially have almost next to no future in Korea in terms of financial security, was something that reminded me of her, because she, I think, was in this place of, because they also went to Seoul, right, or somewhere, I think they all went to Seoul National University.
Yeah.
Woo Young-woo's dad, she did, and Woo Young-woo herself all went there. So she was this close to achieving her dream and her goals, and then this sort of thing happens. Abortion was illegal in Korea until like quite recently, so what else, I guess, was she supposed to do? But it wasn't pleasant, but it's something that happens. I don't know. I felt the same as you, like conflicted. So conflicted.
You don't have to. You might not be a villain, and you might also not be a good person, and those things are not mutually exclusive. Or you just might be selfish and, like you said, looking out for her own career, and that was not part of the plan. And she had a willing father that was going to do the job, so she was like, okay, it's go with me, this is as good as
she washes her hands of the child. And is it a good choice for her? Yes. Like in the long run, she got to do what she wanted to do. She graduated, she passed the bar, she became the head of the company, and she got to have the family, her dad's company, nepo baby, another nepo baby. But anyway, she got to have the family that she, eventually wanted on her own terms. And like, I can't fault her for that. Absolutely not. I think I fault her more for her attitude after she finds out that Woo Young-woo is her daughter, I guess, is that she's not necessarily, like, I don't expect her to want to be in Woo Young-woo's life all of a sudden. But she is ashamed to be associated with Woo Young-woo and wants to just get rid of her, and doesn't care at all that she might be hurting her. And like Kathy said, like, she's not villainous, but she's not a good person. You know what I'm saying?
I think she got at that point so caught up in her candidacy thing. And you know how it is with elections here as well. Like any skeletons in the closet you can dig up can really make or break your election. Thing. So I think when she was ashamed of her, it wasn't even, which I found interesting, because I was expecting her to be like, oh no, my daughter is ASD, and
no, she wasn't like that,
and blah blah blah. It wasn't about that. It was like, I had this out of wedlock daughter, and when I was in law school, and I shouldn't have whatever, and I gave her up, and I didn't even raise her. So there was like other levels of shame there, which is an interesting way for the drama to go, I thought. But yeah,
I think they tried to redeem her just like an eighth of an inch when I'm trying to find a measure that kind of relates to what I'm trying to say. But when her son went to Woo Young-woo's office to confess the crime, the hacking crime, then she was like, how do you know that I'm your sister? And he's like, well, I hacked into my mom's phone because she would always like be looking at something when she was in her room and then get startled when I came in. So I saw what she was looking at, and she's been saving all these things of you, like, probably like the articles of her graduating top of her class, being the first ASD lawyer to come out of Seoul National University. And she said she talks to grandma about you. Yeah. So like there was that little tidbit of like, she's not a horrible person. She didn't completely forget about her.
We don't get to see what the conversation is. We can't, because her mom, like the grandmother, was a willing participant in abandoning the grandchild. Sure. So I don't necessarily feel like it's a positive conversation that she's having about Woo Young-woo in the text messages. But, she is doing her research, like a la escondida.
She's keeping tabs on her.
She's keeping tabs on her, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think it's just, again, the last episode, they try to redeem her. She lets her son testify. Like, she listens to Woo Young-woo. She's like, you aren't a mother to me, be a mother to him. And she listened, and she listened well, and then she revoked her candidacy. Or she took it back. So yeah. I think that, again, they're trying to show some redeeming qualities about her. And then they're setting it up for season 2 with Sun Young kind of walking away and being like, I let you off easy today, bitch, but I'm coming back for you.
Did you guys care? Speaking of this lady, did you guys care that we never saw what the beef was between them?
I did.
You did care that they didn't say.
I wanted to know.
Yeah.
I didn't care.
I also want to go back real quick to the mom to say that. Wait, what was I gonna say? I'm losing it. I had it for a second and I lost it. Oh, the times I found her most villainous was when she was dealing with Woo Young-woo's dad, because she had such a victim complex of like, and like paranoia. Like, you're coming for me, aren't you? You're trying to take me down, aren't you? I was like, well, someone is, but it's not him. And I don't know why you're like going after him like so hard. It was interesting, and that's when I found her the most villainous. I was like, you already dumped, quote unquote, your problem onto him and then pieced out, and now you're here just to like ruin him every few days.
Yeah, very selfish.
All he did was give up the career and like start something else so he could take care of your kid.
Yeah, like, and he regrets it. He says that he regrets it because he lives basing his life off the loyalty and just kind of good-naturedness of raising his own child as a single dad, which I applaud any single parents out there. Like, you're amazing. And he did an amazing job of raising Woo Young-woo, and he says he regrets doing this because he never passed the bar, he never became a lawyer, he never achieved his career aspirations, and he should have, because everyone else but kept all his books. You know, he never followed through on that because of this weird promise that he made to her that he would leave and she'd never see him again and all this shit. And he was like, I should have just said fuck that, done my own thing, and had this something to give to you, started my own practice, raised you and taught you in the law, and hired you myself and given you something that would last, like your own practice, so that, you know, it was your own space versus having to go out into the world and conform to other people's spaces. And that was very sad to hear, but also very understandable coming from him, that he was like, I didn't realize that everyone else was operating under these very political rules, and I'm not doing that. I'm not following this kind of social order that everyone else is following. And going up to the sad thing, it's like Sun Young has her interest that she wants to take down Sumi. So Sun Young is like, you know, go to some paid vacation resort in the countryside and like stay away, you know, while I blow up your life. And then Sumi is like, go to Boston to all the thriving communities and get out of my face. So this poor girl, this poor girl who has been living all her life already with enough difficulties and challenges with her ASD and law school and the job search and all the things that we know about. And now she's like, I never even knew this bitch existed, and now I have to like dip. Like, what the hell? Like, he's like, Dad, I have a super good job, I have a boyfriend, and you're just ruining my life. Like, please. Yeah, it sucks. It really sucks. Yeah.
Jess, I'm surprised you didn't ask about the OST.
Oh, what'd you think of the OST, Kathy?
Not memorable.
Ooh.
No, it is memorable because in like so many TikToks and stuff.
So I'll say like the memorable part about it, I was trying to figure out what it was. It sounds didactic. That's the word that I can think to describe it. It sounds techie. It sounds like something of like you're about to watch a tutorial. It sounds educational. It sounds... No, but I mean that in a good way. I just mean it like trying to find the description for it. It was just like, it was just... like techie, like it sounded futuristic. There was a lot of like, those are the words that come to my head, like a word cloud when I think of the soundtrack, but there wasn't anything like beyond the TikTok that really... I
like the whale songs.
Yeah, the whale songs are cute. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I agree with everything you guys said about the OST, which is why I didn't bring up the OST.
Sorry, my
sometimes
bad.
I like ask a question
ready to answer your question.
I feel bad because, you know, if I don't have anything to say about it, then I kind of assume that somebody else might not have anything to say about it, especially if it's like, you know, just hitting a point, like just to hit a point. So OST, I love your assessment of it, like actually. So thank you for...
it was very unique. I'll say that that's a really good thing, that it was very unique. Like only this show could have this OST. Only this show. But
am I blasting Attorney Woo OST on the weekend?
No, ma'am.
No. Oh man.
The last thing I'll say, I watched the show back in August. I didn't have a chance to rewatch it like I wanted to for our pod today. I was surprised at how much I remembered of the show when I was taking my notes without looking at the episode guide. So nice. I do think it is like the show itself is memorable, and you guys, from your ratings and from what you mentioned earlier, might not want to watch it again, but from the few clips that I watched to get back like caught up, I would watch it again if anybody cares about
you loved it.
You have a 4 out of 5 rating. Of course you're going to rewatch the show.
I'm a little basic. Well, no, I wouldn't watch Love All Play, and I rated it 4 out of 5.
True.
I wouldn't watch it again.
True.
But I would watch this one again. Just, for...
You and everyone in Korea, so I mean, nothing to feel bad about.
There you go.
Nothing.
We gotta reassemble, though, for Attorney Woo Season 2.
Season 2.
See y'all in 2024.
2024. I can't. I hate multi-season K-dramas.
This one did not need a second season.
No. All right. Is there anything else you guys want to add before we get out of here? No? All right.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Tell
us where we can find you online in case they haven't haven't listened to the other episodes with you guys on them.
So for me, Kathy, you can find us, myself and my co-host Laura, who refused to be here today, and you can go shame her for it, at MIA2K Podcast on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, all the places, and anchor.fm/MIA2K Podcast. You can hear our episodes there. And yeah, thank you, Jess, for having us back.
Nice.
Me, at least.
Yeah, well, you watch the drama, so.
Yeah, I'm trying.
It'd be funny if Laura was here. Laura.
Yeah.
All right, Mina.
And yes, thank you, Jess. I feel like I wouldn't have watched any dramas this year if it hadn't been for you. So I appreciate you asking me on here. But you can find me at Instagram, Kpop Bookshelf Pod, P-O-D as in podcast, or on Twitter, where I almost never tweet, Kpop Bookshelf. And also I'm on anchor.fm as well.
Yes, nice. Definitely Mina is an Instagram person. So if you want to get in touch with Mina, you can find her on Instagram. Kathy and Laura are everywhere. You can definitely message them on Twitter. They're active on everything.
All we do is just I don't work, and I just stay on social media talking to people on the DM. So come talk to me and get me fired, please.
Yes. I would say Kathy loves to talk shit. Mina is very, very kind and doesn't talk as much shit as we do. So
and this is my villain origin
story.
story.
I don't do it online. I don't do it on the mic.
Got it.
Smart.
Got it.
I'm not trying to get fired. Kathy wants to get
fired. It's different.
That's the difference.
All right. Well, I think we're going to get out of here. This has been a pleasure talking to you guys. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And that's been our show. I'm Jessica, and this has been the ATC Presents Daebak K-Rambles Podcast.